SMC. He is our leader, the 8th president of Spartanburg Methodist College, and our commencement speaker today, Mr. W. Scott Cochran.
Thank you, Penny. You know, it's kind of interesting that of all the things, and you'll find this in your life, it's the things most unexpected that really inspire others. Who would have thought that the word Starbucks could do so much for so many people? It's an exciting time, definitely, in Spartanburg Methodist College's history, and it's an exciting time for you. And this short talk is not for everyone. It's for you guys. And I want to tell you a little story. There's a young man named Richard Terrari, and when he woke up one morning, he walked outside and he looked in his yard, and there were 2 dead cows in his yard. Richard's 9 years old, and he's pretty devastated. And he shook his head, and he tried to figure out what to do, because you see, Richard is a young Maasai boy in Kenya. And his home borders the south part of the Nairobi National Park, and in that part of the park there is no fence. And so the zebras migrate into his yard, and the lions follow. And when the lions follow, they kill the cows. And it might not sound like a big deal to a 9-year-old, but it's something interesting in Kenya that boys 6 to 9 years old are responsible for taking care of their father's cows. Think about that, 6 to 9 years old. And in the community, there are other groups around there, and one notable group are the Morons, and the Morons are the warriors in the community, and they're charged with protecting the people and also protecting the livestock, because livestock's a big part of life. And so they thought that they could help, and they did, and they started killing the lions. And it helped a little bit, and it was their way of solving the problem. But if you know anything about the circle of life and about how nature works, killing a top-line predator is somewhat devastating. And the effects of having a dwindling lion population started to wreak havoc on the environmental situation as well. And so he said, you know, I'm 9 years old, I'm responsible for my father's cows, so I've got to do something. I've got to solve a problem. And so the first thing he tried was fire. And he said, I think animals are afraid of fire, so I'm going to light the corral, and they call it a cow shed, and it's an outdoor pen, as you might imagine. And I'm going to light fire and torches around the cow shed, and I'm going to scare off the lions. And it didn't work. And in fact, it made it a little easier for the lions because they could see better, and they leapt over the fence, and they kept killing the lions. But he didn't stop. He didn't give up. He didn't say, hey, I'm only a 9-year-old kid, give me a break. He was responsible. So he said, you know, I've heard these things about scarecrows. I'm going to build a scarecrow. So he built a scarecrow, and he put it in the field right in front of the cow pen, in front of the corral. And it worked for one night. You ever felt like that? Something works for a second, then everything falls apart, the wheels fall off. So it worked for one night. And then the cows, the cow pen was protected for one night, and then the lions looked up and they said, ooh, there's something out there on this first night, let's not go in. And lions are smart, right? Lions are smart. They came back the second night and say, that thing hasn't moved. Let's go have some dinner. So they jumped back in, feasted on the cows. Still didn't give up. But he didn't know what to do. One night he was walking around the pen, and he had his flashlight. And as he walks around the pen, he's checking things out. And he went back in and went to bed, but he realized the lions didn't come that night. And he said, you know, maybe I'm onto something here. And what he realized is that lions didn't like the moving lights. The moving lights made them think that somebody was there, and so he started thinking a little bit deeper. And so what he did was, he liked to tinker. He liked to tinker with electronics. He went and got a car battery. He went and got a relay switch, a turn signal indicator from a motorcycle. And those make lights turn on and off as if you're indicating which direction you're going when you're turning. And he got a couple of light bulbs from old flashlights, and he strung these around the outside of the cow pen. And he put a switch in, and then he went out at night and he turned it on, and so the lights would flash around the cow pen, and it would look as if there was somebody walking around. Pretty amazing, pretty ingenious. Guess what? The cows were safe. The lions quit coming. 9-year-old boy, no weapons, facing lions, using his mind to figure things out and to solve a problem. And once word got out, Richard's neighbors asked him, hey, can you come over and help me? The lions are getting my cows. And of course he did, what a good neighbor does. You go out and you help someone. And word spread pretty quickly, and he was going all around his community installing what he called lion lights. And it stopped. The cows were able to thrive. Families felt better. And now it's not only used for lions, but leopards and hyenas, and also for farmers to keep elephants away from trampling the crops. And it's amazing that a 9-year-old boy could come up with an idea like this that could spread around Kenya. And guess what? He earned a scholarship to go to a very prestigious school. He's now 13 years old. This young man changed his community and is having an impact on the rest of his country. 9 years old, very little education at the time, had a problem and solved it. We've got lions in our own lives. Situations, things, people that want to keep us from being successful, that want to attack us. When you're faced with the lions out there, and you will be every single day, I want you to remember a couple of lessons that Richard taught us. First lesson he taught us is you can't wait for others to solve problems for you. Even if they have good intentions, the Morans had good intentions. They tried to solve the problems, but it didn't. They jumped in, that was their role. Their effort was very much appreciated, which you'll appreciate people that help you with your problems. But guess what? The world does not owe you anything. The world does not owe you to solve your problems. You are responsible for your own success or failure. Not your parents, not your grandparents, not your professors, not the staff at the college. No one. You are. Unless you take personal responsibility for your problems, actions, and behaviors, you'll never see true success. So think about Richard taking responsibility as a 9-year-old to solve an incredibly important problem. Second thing is, life isn't fair. Never has been, never will be. It's not fair, and it's not equal. The lions may eat your cows and leave your neighbors alone. They may have targeted you, or it may be random. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It just means you have a problem to solve. Unfairness and injustice needs to be attacked, and it needs to be aggressively addressed, but it won't solve your problems. You don't solve your problems by crying foul and not making an effort to change your own condition. You only solve problems by developing solutions. Third thing Richard teaches us, early on, you need to decide whether you're going to be a Tigger or an Eeyore. And I think everybody understands the reference to that. That's another good one. Eeyore expects bad things bad things to happen. He sees problems in everything, every opportunity. He mopes around, woe is me, taking it all in, absorbing it, not doing anything about it. Tigger? This guy's bouncing all over the place. And guess what? He fails a ton more than Eeyore. He fails a lot. But he gets back up, he's got a positive attitude, and he aggressively goes after life. It's one of the happiest people that I know, if Tiggers can be people. Your success depends on being Tigger-like, which means being resilient. Richard didn't solve the problems the first time around, but he was resilient. You're going to have to be resilient. This world's tough. It's going to beat you down. It's going to chase you, and you've got to continue to get back up. When Richard's first solution didn't work, he didn't just try to do it over and over again, beating his head against the same pole. That's the definition of insanity. Trying the same solutions over and over again, expecting a different result. You got to be smart, and you are. He thought about it, tried something different, and when you face a lion, you better be smart too. Be resilient. Get up off the floor every single time you get knocked down. Fourth thing is, don't use your age as an excuse. No one came to him and said, hey, Richard, you're just a kid. You're 9 years old. I know you're supposed to watch out for your dad's cows, but it's kind of tough now. The lions are out there. We didn't expect it to get this bad, so you're young. It's okay. He battled lions on his own. Never ever look at your age as a disadvantage, but understand where you have been, understand where you come from, understand what you have to do. And the fifth thing, last thing, once you outsmart your lions, realize there's no longer a need to kill them. Richard lives peacefully with lions right now. You need to learn to live with people that think differently and behave differently. You need to learn to live with people that are going to challenge you. You're going to need to learn to live with people that hate you and want to eat your livestock. But you're smarter than that. You can solve those problems and then live peacefully. Defeat those lions. Go help your neighbors to defeat them as well. Band together and create a community of people that refuse